Nebulas are some of the most beautiful objects in the universe. But they are not only beautiful, they are mysterious. A nebula can be a birthplace where new stars begin to form inside cold clouds of gas and dust. But a nebula can also be a graveyard, the glowing remains of a star that has already died. Some nebulas shine with brilliant color. Some appear as dark shadows against the light behind them. And some look so strange that they almost seem unreal, like cosmic sculptures floating in the darkness. These are not random clouds, they are clues. Clues about how stars are born, how stars die, and how the universe keeps recycling its own material, again and again. Today, we are looking at 4 of the most mysterious nebulas in the universe. Each one tells a different story. A story of creation, a story of darkness, a story of death, and a story that looks like an eye, watching from deep space. We begin with one of the most famous star-forming regions ever seen, the Eagle Nebula. And inside it, the pillars of creation. At first glance, the pillars of creation look like giant towers rising through space. They are made of gas and dust, cold, dense, and dark, but they are not empty. Inside these towering clouds, new stars are beginning to form. Gravity slowly pulls gas together. The material becomes denser, hotter, and deeper inside the darkness. A new star can begin to ignite. That is what makes the pillars of creation so powerful. They look like shadows, but they are places where light is being born. The name itself feels almost poetic, pillars of creation. Because these structures are not just floating in space, they are part of a stellar nursery, a place where the next generation of stars may emerge. But there is also something fragile about them. The same young stars, being born nearby, can release powerful radiation and stellar winds. Over time, that energy can carve away the very clouds that helped create them. So the pillars of creation are not permanent, they are changing. Slowly being shaped, eroded, and transformed. A place of birth, also being destroyed by the light it helps create. And that is the first great mystery of nebulas. They can build stars while being torn apart by stars. They are both creators and victims of creation. But not every nebula reveals itself through light. Some nebulas are mysterious because they appear as darkness. And that brings us to the Horsehead Nebula. The Horsehead Nebula is one of the most recognizable shapes in the night sky. It appears like a dark horse's head, rising against a glowing background of gas. But the strange thing is, the horsehead itself is not bright. It is a dark nebula, a dense cloud of dust and gas, blocking the light behind it. In other words, we see it not because it shines, but because it hides what is behind it. That makes the Horsehead Nebula different. It is a shape made from shadow, a cosmic silhouette, and in space, that kind of darkness can be just as important as light. Dark nebulas can hide young stars. They can protect cold gas from outside radiation. They can mark regions where material is still waiting, still gathering, still preparing for something to be born. From far away, the Horsehead Nebula looks almost like a creature, still, silent, watching. But it is really a vast cloud, sculpted by radiation from nearby stars. Its shape is not magic, it is physics. Light pushing against dust, radiation carving into gas, gravity holding parts of the cloud together, and time slowly turning a dark cloud into something we recognize. That is what makes it so haunting. The Horsehead Nebula reminds us that the universe does not always speak through brightness. Sometimes it speaks through absence, through blocked light, through shadow, through the dark shapes left behind when dust stands between us and the stars. But if the Horsehead Nebula is a mystery of darkness, the next nebula is a mystery of death. The Crab Nebula. The Crab Nebula is not a birthplace like the pillars of creation. It is the remains of an explosion, a supernova. Long ago, a massive star reached the end of its life. Its core collapsed, its outer layers were blasted into space, and the result was a brilliant explosion, so powerful that it left behind one of the most studied objects in astronomy. The Crab Nebula is the glowing debris of that dead star. Its gas is still expanding outward. Its filaments stretch through space like torn threads of light. But the most mysterious part is hidden near the center, a pulsar, a neutron star spinning incredibly fast. This object is tiny compared to the original star, but it is extremely dense. It is the collapsed core, the surviving heart of the explosion, and it is not silent. The pulsar sends beams of radiation into space. As it spins, those beams sweep across the universe. And when they point toward Earth, we detect regular pulses, like a lighthouse, flashing across the darkness. That is why the Crab Nebula feels so strange. The star died, the explosion ended, but something inside the wreckage is still active, still spinning, still sending signals, still powering the nebula around it. It is like hearing a heartbeat inside a cosmic corpse. The Crab Nebula shows us that death in the universe is not always an ending. A dead star can leave behind energy, motion, radiation, and matter that will one day become part of something else. The elements thrown out by supernovas can travel through space. They can mix with other clouds. They can become part of new stars, new planets, and perhaps new life. So the Crab Nebula is not only a record of destruction, it is also part of the universe's cycle of renewal, a reminder that the death of one star can help build the future. But not all dying stars go out in violent explosions. Some leave behind something quieter, something beautiful, something that almost looks like it is staring back at us. And that brings us to the Helix Nebula. The Helix Nebula is often called the Eye of God, because from Earth, it appears like a giant eye in space, a bright ring, a glowing center, layers of gas spreading outward like an enormous cosmic iris. But this is not an eye, it is not a portal, and it is not a living creature watching the universe. It is the remains of a dying star, a star once similar to our sun. Near the end of its life, the star expanded. Its outer layers drifted away into space. Those layers formed the glowing shell we now see as the Helix Nebula. At the center, a small, hot remnant remains, a white dwarf. The exposed core of the dead star. This makes the Helix Nebula deeply haunting because it is beautiful. But its beauty comes from death. It is a final breath, a star releasing its outer layers, and leaving behind only a fading core.